Peace and blessings. Welcome to Soular Haven TV, the premiere, live with your host here, Bilal Hassan. And we have a very special show today for you guys all the viewership that will be watching this show. Haven TV, the premiere. We thank you all for tuning in. Bilal Hassan. And we have a very special show today. We hope that you all get the most out of it, which will be covering the importance of sustainable living. And I have a very special guest for our first show, and this is coming from Stone Mountain, Georgia. The organization is called Risala Gardens. It is a African-American Muslim-owned farm down in Stone Mountain, Georgia. And I'd like to bring in our brother here who's representing from Risala Gardens, and I'd like him to introduce himself to the audience.
Greetings. My name is Atiba Jones from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania originally. I've been in Georgia for about 17 years now. And for the past few years, we've gotten much more deeply involved in agriculture. And coming from running and operating a school, a full-time school for several years before, we decided to incorporate agriculture and agricultural education as a part of our approach. So so through this, we've established Risala Gardens. Decided to incorporate agriculture and agricultural education as a part of our approach. So so through this, we've established Risala Gardens.
So you say you mentioned you're from Philadelphia. So how did you get to Georgia, by the way?
So right out of high school, I moved to Georgia to go to college. I went to Morehouse College here in Atlanta.
Okay. I'm a Lincoln University graduate from Pennsylvania, so both HBCU alums. So that's a plus. Could you elaborate a little bit more about Risala Gardens, like what it is that you all do right now?
So the primary focus is education, right? So our aim is to uplift and empower the people. And we've come to the point where we have determined that agriculture is one of the best means of uplifting and empowering and essentially educating our people. So that's what our primary focus is right now. So we've established a farm, or I'll say we're in the process of establishing a farm on an 11.5-acre property in Stone Mountain with the primary focus of education, because we believe that most people in our modern day society are completely disconnected from where their food comes from. You may ask the average child where does their food come from. Their first answer normally is going to be from the grocery store, not from the garden or from the farm or from some type of natural place. Their first answer is the grocery store or from McDonald's or wherever. So that is one of our primary focuses, making that connection between the children as well as adults and where their food actually comes from, both produce as well as meat. And then also we believe that it's very important for children as well as adults to be exposed to nature and outdoors and getting outside and getting away from just being in front of television and tablets and video games. And then also we want to develop more career pathways as well for young people, so that they don't just become limited to what's been put out there as acceptable or available career paths. There's lots of other career paths that they perhaps may never have been exposed to. So that's also what one of the things that we are actively engaged in as well.
Now, you mentioned about food and a lot of children not knowing where to get their food from. How would you say, or going forward in the future, how would you rate the importance of children living, especially in the urban communities, because you're coming from Philadelphia, I'm coming from New York City, and we're coming from the major cities where there are a lot of kids who do not get a chance to be around nature, to play with horses, or they don't even know, like, to be around water, a body of water, a clean body of water. They don't know none of those things, and it kind of takes away from the appreciation of nature. So how would you rate the importance of Risala Gardens, and how does it fall, Risala Gardens, this project that you're doing, how does it fall going into the future as far as promoting sustainable living, promoting agriculture again, especially to our young people?
Right. So I mean that is everything that we're about, and that's exactly why we chose a location that we did,
Mm-hmm.
because of the fact that most children, most people in general who are living in urban settings have very little access to nature, to outdoors, to agriculture, to sustainable living. So we want to be able to not just establish a farm that's way out
Right.
hour, 2 hours away from the city,
Right.
where it's still, not accessible for the average person living in urban settings, but to establish this type of environment right there, in a urban setting. So Stone Mountain, where our farm is located, it sits directly next to Atlanta,
Yeah.
which is obviously a major urban
Mm-hmm.
area. So right there, you can, within 10, 15 minutes, you can be in Atlanta. Somebody coming from Atlanta is right there. It's very accessible. It's right on, the public transportation line. Anybody can get to it. So it's providing direct access to things that most people in urban settings don't have access to.
Could you also, because I was checking out your website, could you also give the people a sense of some of the services? I know you have some other programs, educational programs. Could you give us a synopsis of what you all are offering or offering right now, currently?
So we're still in the beginning stages
Mm-hmm.
of development. So some of the things that we've done so far have been, one is a program called the NAS Academy, which NAS stands for Nature, Agriculture, and Spirituality. So this is a program that we provide to young children, where they get an opportunity to learn about nature, and they learn about growing food and raising animals, and they also they gain spiritual development, through that, as well as herbal studies.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one program that we've done. We've also done a series of sustainable living workshops for the community, and coming fall 2018, we're going to be launching a program called the Save Institute, which is geared specifically towards high school aged young men
Mm.
who have not been successful in the mainstream educational system, and we're basically providing an alternative to that system, where we find that about 50% on a national level, minority um, students don't graduate from high school. And then when you look at the males, particularly African American males, they graduate at a much lower percentage than that. So you're looking at rates of 60 to 70% of young minority men not even finishing school. So what's the alternative? What's happening with them? That's when we see the high rates of prison, crime, death, these types of things. That's exactly what we're trying to combat with that, through providing an alternative to a system that has essentially failed them, and providing them with a means of being able to learn how to take care of themselves, through learning construction skills, learning agricultural skills, and then coupling that with entrepreneurship skills, so they'll be able to be able to start their own businesses, as well as go into apprenticeship programs through the trade unions, so that they'll be able to increase their skills even further, and have the opportunity to choose whether they want to go along a career path within one of those trade unions, or start their own business. So we're just providing an alternative. So that's one of the main things that we're going to be focusing on coming up soon.
Wow. I mean, when you when you mention these stats, these statistics, this data, as far as African American men, especially not graduating from high school, it's very important and critical. The work that you're doing is very important and critical to the overall health and sustainability for the community going forward. And this is something that I feel, is very important to the topic of sustainability, especially what does it mean for the African American community, which leads into my next question for you. In your opinion, what does the term sustainability mean to you, and how should it be taught, or how should it be defined specifically for the African American community?
Well, I mean, looking at the word sustainability, which alludes to being able to sustain something, keep something going. Essentially, when you look at that, how do you keep something going, or how do you sustain it? That means that you have to be able to essentially create a form of forward progress, right? Because anytime you don't have forward progress, you're going backwards.
Right.
Because even looking at stagnation, which means staying still and not moving forward, what happens with stagnation? You get rot, you get disease, these types of things, which also goes right back to a decline. So either you're going forward, or you're going backwards. So looking at sustainability, particularly for African Americans, that's to me, that involves all of the different things that will allow us to move forward, to allow us to not stay stagnant or go backwards, to all the things that allow us to overcome the challenges that many of us have faced for far too long. So yeah.
So what inspired you, what inspired you to go into this field? Like, what was your main drive or passion? Like, was this something out of college that you majored in, or this is something that you just picked up as a side hobby, or what? How did you get into it?
So my primary background is in education as well as counseling.
Okay.
And I've always been focused on youth development. So I worked as a teacher for several years, ran a school for several years, worked as a counselor, in many other related fields, running all types of youth programs. So my main focus has always been on youth development, and finding new ways and better ways to develop youth. So I've done that through many different approaches. And as I was saying before, agriculture is really just a tool that we found to be a very powerful means of youth development and upliftment.
Okay, so Brother Atiba Jones has stepped away from the mic for a little bit, but if anyone has any questions, please do ask. This is Brother Atiba Jones again from Risala Gardens, and we're talking about the importance of sustainable living live here on Soular Haven TV. My name is Bilal Key, and I am your host for this premiere episode of Soular Haven TV, and we're talking today again on the importance of sustainable living. This is Risala Gardens from Stone Mountain, Georgia. This is outside of the beautiful city of Atlanta, and this is a urban farm that's in the works. They have land, and they're currently building up their organization, building up what they have, and they are expecting and anticipating to expand their works with their urban farm in Stone Mountain, Georgia. And this is something that is critical work, as you heard from Brother Atiba, as he talked about youth development in African American male, and giving them the proper training and apprenticeship and mentorship going forward into the future. We're also recording live on Facebook Live, so if my Facebook Live people have any questions, and we just got a question in from SD Sabri on Facebook Live for Brother Atiba. So as soon as Brother Atiba comes back to me, we're going to hit him with this question, and it is, why did you choose to stay on your ground instead of relocating? As you heard, Brother Atiba Jones is a Morehouse graduate. He relocated from the city of Philadelphia to Atlanta, Georgia, and pursued his degree in education at Morehouse College in Atlanta, Georgia. So that's one question. Thank you, SD Superior, for submitting your question. And as soon as Brother Tiba Jones comes back, we will talk about it. Brother Tiba, you're back. Brother Tiba, you hear me?
Yes, I do.
Oh, good. You're back. So we just got a question. I just want to pause in the conversation here and actually get a question from one of our Facebook Live viewers. And the brother asked, why did you choose to stand your ground instead of relocating? Meaning that if you could have done it in Philly, you know, would you have done it in Philadelphia, the same same project? Or, you know, like, why did you choose to relocate from, besides, of course, going to Morehouse College and being accepted there? If you were not accepted to Morehouse College and you had to stay in Philadelphia, would you have done the same project in the city of Philadelphia?
So if I would have stayed in Philly, honestly, I'm not sure, because I'm not sure if I would have even had the opportunity to gain the same exposure there as I have through coming here. However, at this point, now that I have had that exposure, and I am pursuing this path, I have every intention of doing the same thing in Philadelphia as well. Right. So this is just the starting point. But Philadelphia is next on the list, because I believe firmly that every urban area should have more programs like this, more environments like this.
Yes, and this is a major, like I said, this is a major thing going forward in the urban settings because of the fact that we have food desert problems. So, which leads to my question, particularly in the Afro-American and Latino, or the quote-unquote minority term, which I don't like to use, but given the fact that the rate of food deserts is high, the rate of diabetes is high amongst Afro-Americans, and other diseases are high amongst the Afro-American community, how do you feel your project fits in to that and helping to aid in that, I would say, cure for the Afro-American community?
Right. So so that's actually one of the core principles of where we're about, providing an alternative to unhealthy and GMO foods. The thing is, in addition to just the widespread of GMO all over the place, really at this point all over the world, in addition to that, like you said, in these poor neighborhoods, primarily populated by African American and Latino people throughout the U.S., there's that the rates of disease and all of these things are much higher. And it's become apparent that it's very blatant and very purposeful. That it's like that, and many things, many of the institutions, the restaurants, the stores that are in these communities are really specifically designed to ensure that things stay that way. So a lot of people in these communities, they have chosen to eat very unhealthy for various reasons, but of them is because it's they're accessible, because everywhere you look there's fast food restaurants, then these grocery stores that are like the discount grocery stores that sell a lot of cheap and unhealthy products. So it's about affordability and accessibility. So those are the two things that we want to flip the script on, making healthy food, one, more affordable, and also more accessible by having it right there in their community.
Right. And this is like I said, the work is important, and it's something that was taught to us prior, and if we agree or not on the same topic, but the topic of do for self and the topic of tilling the land. And this is something that was taught to us by our forefathers, Booker T. Washington and George Washington Carver, who encouraged us to embrace the agricultural side of us. And so I had to say, for my next question, as far as the vision of people like Booker T. Washington, people like George Washington Carver, how can like Risala Gardens, are you all going to bring up these individuals in your works? Because I see that our history is being written out of the textbooks, as we all know, in public school and different things like that. They're not getting the youth are not getting the same type of direction or the same type of education of our history, and we have to ourselves be able to instill that in them, because we cannot continue to rely on outside sources to do that anymore. So with the vision of Booker T. Washington, George Washington Carver, and the likes of those individuals, how is Risala Gardens, or if you all plan to actually bring up these men and women who instilled this in the future, like how do you all feel about preserving our history, and where does that stand?
I mean, I feel that's crucial, and they have established, right? So we actually took a trip down, and was able to see in person established, and learn more about their approach and what they've done. So really, that's who we have to model after. But at the same time, not just stop there. Take what they've take what they've established, take it to the next level of that now. And one of the things that I believe was last year is that very means by which we were enslaved, I mean African American people, the very means by which we were enslaved, we have to use that for our liberation in our modern times, which is agriculture, right? We were enslaved on the farm, agriculture, and now we have to use very means for our liberation.
Yes, this is true indeed. And we have another question actually that was submitted, and this question again is from my friend SD Sabri, who's tuning in on Facebook Live, and he asked, do you have any future plans to have your food distributed to small supermarkets?
I'm sorry, I couldn't.
I'll repeat
that question. Can you repeat it?
Sure. It says, do you have any future plans to have your food distributed to any of the small supermarkets, or just have your food growing on the Risala Gardens? Do you have plans to actually put it into supermarkets in Atlanta or around the Atlanta area?
Possibly. That's a possibility. That's not something that we're thinking. The primary goal right now is really to create alternatives to supermarkets, and allow people to gain access to these types of food without having to go to the supermarket. And also another big thing, honestly, that we're promoting, which is even more important to me, because our main focus isn't production, to be honest. Like a lot of other farms, they're really focused on producing. So that's one of the things that we're focusing. However, one of what's already people have to grow their own food, right? So we're not necessarily trying to compete with a lot of producers. How people begin to take whatever space they have, whether it's their backyard, porch, or windowsill, grow something, grow your own food, grow your own herbs, raise your own animals if you're able to. So that's really one of the primary focuses. We want to teach people how to do that, not just give them the fish, but teach them how to fish.
Yes, this is important. My next question actually is too, if people wanted to, because I feel as though this is again another important aspect of a community that we should financially be able to support. I know you all have a fundraising campaign going on. Could you elaborate on how people can financially support you, especially those in Georgia? But this is the case, we're broadcasting live, so other cities may want to support other people. Can you tell us how can other people support your mission of Risala Gardens?
So we have a website. It's risalagardens.org. Could donate via the website. So, you know, one of the things that we're facing right now is because of the fact that we're in an urban setting and we're surrounded by neighbors who aren't used to the kind of thing that we're doing, and they're also not used to who are doing it, meaning African American Muslims.
Right.
Not all of us are. Not everybody on the team is Muslim. Not everybody.
Mm-hmm.
You know, by that, it's an unknown. So people still feel uncomfortable. Wait a minute, what's happening here?
Right.
It must be something that's going to harm us or harm the neighborhood. Deeply getting to know or trying to understand what we're doing, they've come into opposition and trying to oppose and bring down and stop what we're trying to do. So our main to the people in this community as well as the surrounding neighborhoods, and at the same time inform like the larger governmental officials as well, you know, what we're doing and the importance of it, and that it's something that will bring benefit to the community rather than bringing something that's harmful.
Yeah, so I was reading that and about this case, and could you elaborate more as to why these people, or why you think these individuals have this type of feeling, and you know, like elaborate a little bit more for the listening audience who may not know about the case that you all are experiencing down there, and in your best words, how can we support your cause? You know, if it's not financially, in this case, how can other people support?
So I think one of the big fear now is a fear of the unknown.
Mm.
They don't know or understand, and you know, we're living in a time where every single day you see negative media attention surrounding Islam, and you know, over the basically since September 11th, 2001. That's what, almost 16 years. For almost 16 years, you've seen Islam, you know, be put out there as almost synonymous with terrorism.
Right.
So when you so for the average American, you know, they're looking at Muslims as potential terrorists, obviously, but many of them who have a relationship with Muslims and really got to know them and what they're really about. The moment they see one and something a little different than what they're used to, it's like red flags go up. Wait a minute, something's happening. This is not right. We have to stop it. Something bad can come from this. So they've really been trying everything they can possible to shut down what we've done on us, because, you know, and each, you know, especially like the Department of Agriculture has been out to our farm several times. Each time they come, they say, "What's the problem? Everything looks great. You're doing a wonderful job." I don't know why they're calling. It's obvious that it's not about what we're doing. It's more so of that unknown.
And now we know as Muslims, for those who don't know, the importance of dawah, and I feel as though this project here can be utilized as that form of dawah or interfaith dialogue. And is this something that you all, I know you said your team is diversified, not all of them are Muslim, so is that something you all are engaged in the community as well with, like that interfaith dawah type of thing, you know, inviting people to the to see the actual work that you're all doing and actually engage with you guys on that level as well?
So so that is for us, one of the most important underlying intentions behind what we're doing. Honestly. And I remember many years ago, someone asked Imam Zayd Shaka what he believes the best form of dawah or invitation. And if I'm not mistaken, his response was service, serving the people. And that's essentially what we're trying to do. We're trying to utilize the means in which we've been given to serve the people and to uplift the people and provide for them things that we feel that could bring a lot of benefit to their lives.
I wanna switch gears actually for a quick second and actually get your brother your thoughts on the current political atmosphere as far as the environment is concerned. And we know that the current presidential administration has been aiming to remove, and has done so so far, remove a lot of the past administration's work on the climate change and etc. How do you see your project during this political time, with all of the negative press for Muslims too, number one, and also the going backwards as far as the environment is concerned? How do you see your project fitting in to shedding light on the importance of being equal conscious or equal aware during this time?
Right. So I believe that many people are simply just unconscious of the importance of the environment and taking care of the environment, because of the fact that we're living in a time and place that is primarily focused on convenience. It's like whatever is convenient is what the priority should be. It doesn't matter what it destroys. It doesn't matter what the effects are. As long as it makes our lives easier, it saves us a second or two, we don't have to do as much work, is good. And one of the things that I believe can help to change that is just simply providing exposure, something different, right? So for me personally, growing up in Philadelphia, I have very little exposure to nature and natural things in general. It's mostly concrete, mostly artificial things that are artificial. But I think at the same time, there was always this like inward burning desire that was called nature and the environment. And it just took for me to be exposed to it just a little bit to realize how much I really loved it, even though I never really had it. Right. Once I received it, I said, wow, this is it. This is what I've been missing. This is what I need. And I'm going to, do everything that I can to be a part of it and bring others to also engage. So that's essentially what we're doing. Not much. No, just come. Bringing as many people as possible and let them be exposed. Let them feel how peaceful it is, how much tranquility that they receive from it. And from that, I believe people will make on why it's aware of nature and the environment, because without it, we won't be able to have these things.
Right. No, I agree 100%. And, I just feel, do you feel now, I happen to see this a lot too, that particularly, especially in the environmental field, there's not a lot of people that look like me and you in it. And I feel that's an issue. And that's a concern. Now it's starting to pick up. You're starting to see more African Americans get involved little by little. But I feel as though, in my experience dealing with our people, I feel as though we are more eco-illiterate, for lack of a better term. Is that something that you have experienced, or do you agree with me, on my analysis here? Is this something that, I feel as though the environmental education for African Americans is lacking a lot in a lot of regards, a lot of respects, because I see a lot of other people that do not look like me, you are heading or having these jobs or doing environmental education or involved with these other environmental organizations and projects, but I don't see many of us involved.
Absolutely. I mean, that's accurate. And so I work for an organization called Greening Youth Foundation, and what you just mentioned is exactly the mission of what it is come to do. Exposing youth and young people of color to nature, the outdoors, and the environment. So so through that organization, we go into schools, through elementary, middle, high schools, as well as recreation centers, and provide environmental education. We also provide, for college students to be able to get experience working in with the environment and protecting it through National Park Service, U.S. Forest Service, U.S. Fish and Wildlife, and other agencies like that. And then we also have a program, the one that I manage is called the Earth, primarily focuses on educating and exposing youth to careers in conservation, construction, and conservation, construction, and agriculture.
So if you want to learn more about these two initiatives, where can they go to find out more information? Because this is very good.
So to learn more about Greening Youth Foundation, you can go to gyfoundation.org. It's gyfoundation.org. And that has information about all those programs that I just mentioned.
And for the listening audience who's viewing this show right now, I will be sharing in fact, all of this information that we're talking about on Facebook and etc. for everyone else's benefit. These websites where you can go, of course, Risala Gardens website and their social media as well, because they are on social media as well, for everyone's benefit, for those who want to get this information, because this is very important. Now, my next question actually is related more to us as Muslims. As we know, there's a term in Islam called Khalifa, and Khalifa just on the basic level means caretaker or caregiver, and I see that too, not just in the African American community, but also in Islam is emphasized a lot in the life of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, praise and blessings be upon him, of preserving the environment, conserving the environment. It's actually in the context. Do you feel, Brother Atiba, as Muslims, how do you feel about this being important as important as African Americans, but also as important as Muslims being more involved in the environment? Now they're starting to become more, because there's a lot of other initiatives that have come about over the past few years. But do you feel as though the Muslims, we play a critical piece in this environmental movement, like, because it is so engraved in our teachings, in our Islamic teachings, that we owe it actually to help preserve and conserve this environment as we have, because it's not ours. Obviously, this was given to us by Almighty God, so I'm saying, so it's not ours. So we owe it, to preserve it as much as we can while we're here. Is this something? Right. What's your feelings about that? Thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, as you mentioned, it's an integral part of, the Prophet Muhammad, he was very, very concerned about all of God's creation in every way, from the trees to animals, the insects, plants, everything. And so much of his life, he provided so many examples of how we treat each one of those different aspects of creation, and so much so it's like, as I said, it's an integral part of our belief. Personally, but should be at the forefront of the environmental movement. I believe that's an obligation upon us, and it's no reason why every Muslim shouldn't be a part of it in some way.
We have another question actually on Facebook Live here, and I'm going to read it. And maybe we've answered this earlier, I don't know. But the question is, with the growth of foods like vegetables and fruits, are you aiming to make your area healthier or promote doing for self to people? I think we touched upon that, right?
Yeah. So the answer is both.
Okay.
However, the primary focus is do for self, what we call grow your own, right?
Yes.
So that is one of the things that we've been promoting. It was actually one of the names of a workshop that we provided, grow your own, and that's what we want more and more people to do. So our farm, we're obviously going to be growing a lot of food, raising animals.
Right.
And they will be sold. They will a percentage will be given away. We'll be establishing a CSA, which stands for Community Supported Agriculture. So produce will be made available, as well as eggs and honey and other related products. But our primary focus is education and teaching people how to do it themselves.
Indeed. This is like, you mentioned the bees, and this is something that is crucial. Now, are you all right now? I want to ask a couple questions with this topic because, as you know, and I know, and I have to educate, since we're talking about education, the viewers who may not know about the bee decline and how we're losing our bees. Here in New York City, particularly from my experience so far, this spring into summer season, I have not really seen any bees in the urban settings in New York City. And this is like the first time, me, myself, and a couple other, my friends, a couple other people have said this to me in New York City. We haven't seen any bees here as of late. And that, to me, is very alarming and very disturbing. And how does this project here, like, where do you see yourselves fitting in as far as bee conservation is concerned, and what is your aim as far as bee conservation, besides, of course, distribution of honey for us? As we need it, because it's something that we use on a daily basis to cook and etc. And natural, so
right.
Pure. But as far as bee conservation, where does your project fit in as far as that?
Right. Yeah, so I mean, we see not only in bees, but also in other pollinators.
That's right, right.
And the fact without these pollinators, it makes it extremely difficult to grow any kind of food. Because all of these different types of vegetables and fruits, they need to be pollinated. So it's not just the honey that we're gaining from these bees. We're also gaining the ability to grow all of these other types of food. So it's extremely crucial. Things that one of the things that helps the conservators is by any native plants and pollinator plants as possible. Plants that attract them and give them the nutrients that they're looking for. So this is one of the things that we are in the process of doing, planting a lot more native native plants that are up, because what we found is that invasive plants that are taking over a lot of urban settings, kind of smuggle out plants, which are these pollinators. So by removing the invasive plants, essentially, and by replacing them with more native plants, then this helps to create more environments that these pollinators, like the bees and butterflies, can be able, so that they can be able to thrive.
Now, just a couple more questions before we wrap up here. A few more. Your short-term and long-term goals, what are they?
So, sorry, you repeat that?
Your short-term and long-term goals for Risala Gardens, what are they going forward in the short term and the long term? What can the viewers? Yeah, go ahead.
So our primary focus right now is the development, establishment of this farm community garden. So we are putting a lot of focus the establishment of this particular one. People in Stone Mountain, Georgia, or the Atlanta area, but we're building it within that can be duplicated around the country, right? So, like earlier, I believe that every urban setting is this, where healthy food is being grown and youth as well as adults can come and learn and be exposed to. So so not only do we plan to establish these farms nationwide, but also a series of agricultural based along with them in that have as an integral part of their curriculum getting outdoors, getting dirty, and learning about nature and agriculture.
I agree. This is, like I said earlier, it's critical piece to have. We need to see more of the young adults involved, and not only the adults, but the adults too, but the young adults involved in this particular project. And I think it's very good to see this particular project. Now, if people want to come to the actual farm and visit, maybe take a tour, do you all have that available for people to do?
My my email address is atiba@risalagardens.org. Atiba, ATIBA @risalagardens.org. We can set something up.
Okay, yes, and if I may, let me see here. If we have any more questions from Facebook, please let me know, guys, on Facebook Live. If you're tuning in, if you have any more questions for Brother Atiba Jones from Risala Gardens down in Stone Mountain, Georgia. And if we don't, I'm going to say that I would like to thank Brother Atiba for your time today, for taking the time out to actually sit down and be a special guest on my show, Soular Haven TV, for the premiere. This is something that I think will be very important. I will definitely be sharing this video once it's archived. We're going to put it up. We're going to share it to Facebook. We're going to share it all around. Risala Gardens, you can find them on Facebook, like their page. Go to their website, risalagardens.org. Go to their Instagram, Risala Gardens as well. Learn about them. I encourage everyone to actually take the time out to actually support them financially, please, because you can't do nothing without any money. We know we live in a society that is money driven. It's a capitalist society. They need the money. I can't stress it enough that donations to such projects like this, to continue the works and efforts to educate our future and also to till the lands as our forefathers encouraged us to do. And it's something that is very important going to the foreseeable future of generations to come. So please financially support Risala Gardens. Also, I will be sharing the information about supporting them through their tough times, dealing with the individuals in the community and the political spectrum that are kind of denying them from the expansion that they need and from getting some of the resources that they need. So they are asking for you to write support letters, right, Brother Atiba?
Yes, absolutely.
So I will be sharing that as well to the listening audience. Once this is archived, I will share that across the lands, across Facebook and social media, giving everyone a chance to write their letters, and I hope you do, and encourage you to do so, to write your letters on behalf of Risala Gardens to make sure they get the support that they need from the community. We cannot let the individuals, these certain individuals, deter us from the progress that we need to be made. So those who may not live in Stone Mountain, Georgia, or in Georgia, period, still, you should still write on behalf of Risala Gardens, because as we need to get back to community life, and as this is such a critical time and pivotal time for us as African Americans, particularly in the United States, to actually have ownership of land. Ownership of land is critical. And to own a piece of land and to be able to till it and to be able to get products out of it and to be able to give people jobs is the biggest charity you could ever give to a person, is to be able to give them a sense of employment when they don't have a sense of employment. So this is a very critical piece. And again, I thank Brother Tiba for taking the time out to being here. And I will be planning my visit down from where I am to go visit the Risala Gardens, and hopefully I can take a couple of other people with me on a tour. And you know, we have to go see these farms and actually show them that we care and show them that we support them and 110%. So, Brother Tiba, if you don't have any last words, I'd like to give you, you know, a few minutes or a minute to, if you want to express anything else before we sign off.
So my primary encouragement is for everyone to get involved. I'm not saying that everybody should right. However, I think everyone should be involved in some way in growing your own food and experiencing how it feels to be able to place a seed in soil, watch it grow, and to be able to eat from that. It's a really, really amazing experience, and also I believe it's a very spiritual experience as well. When you start that process of being able to watch how that entire process takes place from seed to your plate. So I just encourage to do something. One little pot, grow something. If you have a lot of you know, make a yard instead of, you know, utilizing all of it just to have a pretty lawn. Grow some food and then share it with your neighbors. So that's my encouragement. Grow your own.
From seed to a plate. From seed. I want to write that down, brother, because that's a good concept. From the seed to your plate it's a great concept. And again, I thank you for tuning in, for the viewership. I thank you for those who submitted questions through Facebook Live, and tune in for the next show. And definitely, Brother Tiba will be, inshallah, speaking to you, God willing, speaking to you again. And I thank you again for your time, and I thank you all. Peace and blessings. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Tiba.
Wa alaikum salam.
Thank you.